Raw came from North Carolina this week that had a unique mix of cutting-edge business savvy and a rah-rah spirit that mirrors modern-day WWE. That's actually what Joe Tessitore said at the start of this week's show. I mean, Joe Tessitore, I like you a lot. I think you're very good at your job, but you may as well go on, oh my gosh, the sexy salamander is climbing up my leg right now, and I don't know what's going to happen. Whip-hoo, hooray. Those two things make as much sense. I don't think anybody has ever said those words in that sentence structure before. Also, hello, my friends. Welcome to Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show you need. Of course, we're going to sit down and go through Monday Night Raw together. I did lose my voice yesterday. Now, it's come back today, but it may go again. So if I do squeak, please forgive me. And I just want to shout out my man Eden. Happy birthday to you. It was his 18th birthday at the weekend. And I hope you had a lovely day. And I hope it's continuing throughout the week. But otherwise, let's take the finger of power. We look to the skies, we give the good bits an up. And we look to hell and give the good bits a down, or in short, let us up those downs. I then made noise because Rhea Ripley actually came out to do the opening Raw promo, so finally, 2 weeks in a row, she has come out in front of the fans, because don't forget, for around about 52 years, WWE kept her backstage, which was totally silly Billy, because did you hear the reaction here? It was very, very loud. She was so mad what Asuka did last week as well. Did you see those pictures of the mist of Rhea from 7 days ago? I actually think it took about a week to get off. She looked like a lizard, and after calling out the Empress of Tomorrow, of course, Io Sky came out instead, and she was like, I am just so sad about this. Rhea was like, listen, you have to listen to me. I've been screwed over by the Judgment Day before. You have to leave your family behind. And he was like, I want to do that, but I love them so much. They got me here. So poor Io Sky, man, she is totally broken by this. It's almost like her trust was betrayed. I mean, she is in quite a pickle because you always want to be close to those that are close to you, but you know, your mother did spit in your friend's face when Asuka and Kairi Sane just appeared on the big screen because I suppose they couldn't be asked to come to the ring. She was also pissed off at Io Sky because she was like, I taught you, Io, I brought you under my wing, and now look at this disrespect. However, I shall forgive you if you do say sorry. Now, Kairi Sane was having a mental breakdown throughout all of this when Asuka turned to Rhea Ripley and said, you do not get the same offer, my friend. I hate you and now you must die. She really didn't come across like Emperor Palpatine here, though, because she made it very clear, I am the leader, I am in charge, so Kairi will be down here on my right and you can be down here on my left, but you have to say nice things to me all of the time, otherwise there's going to be hell to play, and you won't be allowed to play Nintendo anymore. Io Sky was totally confused about what to do though, so she did go all sad panda and start walking away, which of course is when the Kabuki Warriors just absolutely beat the crap out of Rhea Ripley. Io was then like, what do I do? She decided to be the hero of the day, and of course Asuka went, pfft, and she spat that miss right in her face. Honestly, once again, this must be like the strongest die of all dies, because an hour after this, the local medical facility team was still trying to clean Io up. So from now on, you better be careful around Asuka. She'll ruin your week. Rhea then tried to fight back, but Asuka held her down in the Asuka lock when Kairi Sane hit the insane elbow, which is actually quite a badass combo. And of course, we made it very clear that we will be doing this tag team match at the pay-per-view. And I honestly think that could be totally terrific. And yes, look, nobody is going to be winning any Oscars for their performances here. But if you are tuning into wrestling for that kind of stuff, that's totally on you, because WWE especially should always be totally over the top. And it is that OTT-ness that makes this even better. It's a super fun storyline, and it's shining a spotlight on four of the best wrestlers that WWE has right now. I am totally giving it an up. Like once they always say, wrestling is there to distract you and make you forget about the world's problems. This absolutely does it because it is just so totally insane. And it's going to end with an absolute banger, to use 2025 terms. So yes, just to double down, I am giving it up. I think it's terrific. And also do not forget, there is no title involved here whatsoever. That makes it even better. It's just a tale of heartache, sadness, and Asuka being a total Fruit Loop. But my gosh, she's absolutely brilliant. One of the best ever. We then went straight into Dominik Mysterio versus Rusev for the Intercontinental title, and yes, JD McDonagh and Finn Balor did walk out with Dom, which they haven't done for a while, when they went, only kidding, we're not going to stay with you, you smell a little bit, and they left. It of course meant that Rusev absolutely destroyed Dom, but he's so damn good, he sold this really well, until he got on the outside, and he used Simba the still steps to his advantage. The issue was, he went for the 619, that didn't work. He went for the Splash of the Frogs, that didn't work. When Ruru booted him with a matcha kick, and he got a 1-2-ooh. That was great for Rusev as well, because he was like, I'm warmed up now, I'm going to make you tap out with the accolade. Didn't do this. This looks dodgy as all hell. Dom then decided he was just going to run away because why the flub? Not only took his titles, but of course it was a ruse, not a Rusev. Because he pulled at Eddie Guerrero and he kind of fell to the floor like he hit me with the championship. But the referee essentially saw all of this. He backed Dom into the corner like, would you stop being an absolute moron? When Mysterio realized, Rusev has grabbed me from behind, he donkey kicked him right into the balls and he rolled him up with the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, and he got the 1, 2, 3. I tell you, man, I thought this match was so damn much fun. Rusev played his part perfectly. This is absolutely what Dom would do, and the fans just love Dominik Mysterio, even though in many ways he's an absolute dickhead. Now, I don't know what's next for any of them, but you have to imagine that Rusev does get a rematch because this was shenanigans. I would eventually give him the IC title before Sheamus returns and finally gets that belt that he never has. But once again, I'm going to keep using this word throughout this episode of Raw. It's just fun. And Dominik played his character perfectly, and Rusev played his character perfectly. Sometimes that's all you need. And I would like this Intercontinental title to be defended a little bit more. Gets a bit wishy-washy at times, but I'm giving it an up. I enjoyed myself. I can only assume that LA Knight had then just been going through his journal the last couple of days, because he found Adam Pearce and was like, look at this. I was the last person to beat Seth Rollins, and therefore I deserve a world title match. Of course, that was back at Saturday Night's main event. That was July, man. LA, what took you so long? This when the New Day walked in, as always, they were like, we want a tag team title shot. And Adam Pearce was like, I told you, goobers, 1,000 times, you have to earn it. When they fell out with LA Knight because he was right there, and Kofi took a shot, he was like, oh, look at you, the man that does want a world title opportunity. Well, only one of us has won that championship, and it ain't you. Adam Pearce was then doing the dance of joy because he was like, well, can you believe it? I do have a massive hole in my match card this evening. So LA Kofi, you're going to have a match tonight. I am going to throw it down in here though, because as soon as the New Day mentioned the tag team titles, I was like, oh my gosh, they just don't exist anymore. Like JD McDonough and Finn Balor just don't seem to want to defend them at all. And while the New Day are desperate, you can't go back to that feud. At WWE, you absolutely should merge the men's tag team titles and just treat them like the women's tag team titles. They can go to Raw, they can go to SmackDown, they can go to NXT. And if the teams from those brands can jump around as well, all of a sudden this division will have the depth it desperately needs. And it's not a major down, because we knew this already, but it is getting it down. I mean, they main evented, WrestleMania 39 or whatever it was. We've got to get back to that. We then got this really great video focusing on the history between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and WWE are doing a pretty good job in building up that match, when it was Bayley and Lyra Valkyria in the back. And thankfully, Lyra went, listen to me, Bayley. You're an absolute loon. I'm not going to help you anymore. You keep pretending you're my friend, then you get in my face. I am done with you. Then about 10 minutes later, she went back on this. The point is, it is going to be Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez. Bayley wanted Lyra's help. Lyra said no. So Roxanne Perez made sure to go boop. And she poked Bayley right in the eyes. Because for some reason, Roxy's always allowed to go to the ring, even though you think Adam Pearce is like, yeah, you're banned. Put one on the dick board. They can't help themselves. And yeah, sure, look, there were a couple of times in this when they went a bit wibbly wobbly, but as I said on SmackDown, ups and downs, let's not get on people's asses for making mistakes because they are just wrestlers. And Bayley was rock and rolling a little bit before she got blinded, which is when Raquel hit the big bomb of power and she got the 1, 2, 3. I do like the way that WWE is treating Rodriguez recently. She is a big woman that slaps women meat and she's gonna get ya. Of course, the Judgment Day then beat up Bayley, which when I did roll my eyes, because Lyra did come out to make the save, and actually she was great here. She booted them both in the face when it looked like Bayley was gonna beat her up. But this time it was hug a nice Bayley, and she was all like, woohoo, I can't believe it. We are now gonna be buddies again. Now, my only issue with this is that Lyra Valkyria has not only been murked by weird Bayley, but this is also the same person that cost her the Intercontinental title. I just don't understand why she cares so much. Nobody else on the show cares. Adam Pearce doesn't care that Bayley has clearly got an issue that everyone should be going, are you okay, Bayley? Are you sure you should be wrestling? However, I did like the rest of it, so I am going to give it an up. I don't know whether to give it down to Lyra Valkyria or not, because she is a babyface. She is doing the right thing. You know what? I'm going to leave it for now, because it does make sense. It's not 2 + 2 = potato. But eventually we're going to do this tag team match, and Bayley is going to beat up Lyra Valkyria. We just need to protect her aura. That's not the right word. We just need to protect her sensibleness, because after a while you have to go, listen, you are totally insane. I don't want to hang around with you anymore. But at the same time, it is a good story, but also isn't evolving around any tag team titles or any kind of championships. That does make it more interesting because we can focus on the characters. Look, I'm not trying to pretend otherwise. Bayley's portrayal of this is absolutely hilarious. But go back to what I said earlier, I watch it to have fun. We then had more fun with the Usos backstage after this because Jimmy found Jey and said, dude, you didn't help me last week, and you didn't help LA Knight last week. What the flub is going on? And Jey went crazy here going, I told you, dude, no more helping out. It's all about me. I'm still the same old G. And maybe if I'd done this before, I would be the world champion right now. And don't look at me with those eyes. You would know nothing about that. It's a horrible thing to say. He essentially just told his brother, you have never been world champion. He also basically recited all the things that Roman Reigns had said to him a few weeks ago as well, and Jimbo didn't like any of this. However, because they are siblings, eventually they did shake hands, especially because they have a main event match later against Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. Now, I will hold off talking about this more till we get to that match, but my gosh, do I love this evolution of the Jey Uso character. It's made him way more interesting, and sure, maybe we're going to take away that entrance from the fans, but that would have died down eventually because that's just how the way the world works. I kind of feel like WWE struck where the iron was hot and made sure they weren't reacting, but they were doing the other thing that you would do. They just changed it before they had to, and that makes all the sense in the world. So I'm pumped about this. One of my favorite stories in WWE. This is when the medical team were trying to clean up Io Sky, and I just died laughing because it had been about an hour, when Kairi Sane decided, I know what will work, emotional manipulation. Because she found Io, she's like, please come back to the family. Sky was like, look at me right now. Of course I'm not gonna do that. So Kairi gave her a picture of all three of them having the best time. I love this. It'd be the equivalent of going like, okay, listen, I understand I got totally murked here, but I did enjoy that trip to Disneyland. You know what? Let's do it for Mickey. When we did get LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston, which I don't think anybody had on their bingo card, but this made sense for a lot of reasons. Mostly, LA Knight had to get a win because recently he was just lost. That's kind of what happens to the New Day too. But remember what John Cena said? Sometimes it ain't your night, kid. Now throw one on the dick board because Xavier Woods got involved twice here, but actually was totally fine. Like the second point, he was just on the ring apron going, LA Knight, I'm going to mug you, which is when Kofi went for his finisher. LA Knight was like, no, I've been told I can win. He hit the BFT, he got the 1, 2, 3. That rhymes, so it must be true. And that was basically that. But I think this was mostly WWE looking to the past and going, dudes, we can't keep beating LA Knight, this is ridiculous. But surely he has to go back into this Jey Uso feud at some point. It's interesting. Like, I feel like a lot of what WWE did on this episode of Raw, it was not damage control, but it was just putting people in positions where they are going to pull the trigger in a couple of weeks. But I like it. Sometimes you do need to do this. And it means that LA Knight hasn't totally been mugged off. We wait and see for sure. And he did mention that World Championship match. Giving it up. For some reason, Becky Lynch then went and yelled at Tozawa and Maxxine Dupri, I suppose you've got to do something, and dropped in her line, I am the greatest women's wrestler ever. And it's not just me saying it, everybody's saying it. When Maxxine Dupri went, oh yeah, well do you know who the 350th best wrestler in the world is? It's Simon Miller in the PWI. I should have said that, I'm sorry. I'm still very happy about that. She went, I tell you, who doesn't think you're the best wrestler? AJ Lee. I was like, Maxxine, no, you should have said me. Say me. What do you care about what AJ Lee thinks? Tozawa also thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard in his life, so he needs to get out more. And this cracked me up because Becky just punched him right in the face. He went down like a bag of bricks. Brie then got super mad about this and checked on her friends, so Lynch made sure she booted her as well. Honestly, I think this Becky Lynch character is brilliant. When she found Seth Rollins, she said, Seth, do you need me to come to the ring with you? And Rollins was like, no, I need to do this by myself. And off he went. We then had an advert interaction between Penta and Dominik Mysterio, which is interesting. And Dom was essentially like, no, I'm not going to take you on again. I've already beaten you and I'm bored of taking on people that are named after shapes. When, yes, Seth Rollins walked out and he was in a super serious mood. Because, well, yes, if you go into the record books, he has lost 3 times to Cody Rhodes. He doesn't need to worry about that anymore. He doesn't care about what happened in the past. He cares where we are now. And he's the World Heavyweight Champion, and Cody is the WWE Champion, so they are the 2 most important people in this game. This will all get proven at Crown Jewel, who sit at the tippity top, and maybe the winner will control WWE for the next 10 or 20 years. Like Seth, that doesn't stand up at all. Cody won this last year, and he's still not controlling the WWE. That was like 12 months ago. We've got to stop saying things like that. It doesn't make any sense. Seth's whole point was, though, it's mad that anybody would cheer for Cody to be in this position because he ran away at one point, whereas Seth Rollins has been there the whole time. He has held up this company. He also tries to get rid of people like CM Punk and Roman Reigns, who are absolute idiots. So if you want to bet the farm on anybody, it should be him, because he's WWE for life. He's also future-proofing the future, which is a dumb thing to say, because he does have Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, who he's building up to be stars, and yet everybody still loves Cody. by this point he had said Cody Rhodes a lot of times. So as per Wrestling Rule 14.4, out came Cody. He had a rebuttal. It was quite funny as well because he expected some pyro and it never went off and he was so confused. When he went all corny, but Rhodes could always get away with it, he said, listen, nobody decides what's next for WWE apart from all of these fans. He then questioned how much Seth Rollins was actually in control of his own group because he saw the bronze on SmackDown and he wasn't entirely sure Seth was pulling those strings. Rollins was like, every single decision goes through me. Cody stroked his non-existent beard and went, well, wait a minute. Paul Heyman also introed Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. That doesn't sound like a Seth decision. And Rollins was like, no, I definitely did do that, but me thinks he may be lying. There is trouble in paradise. This was really damn good though, because they are playing it like it's the most important thing in the world. And Cody even said, I am disappointed in you, dude, because I thought you had my back at WrestleMania 40. When Rollins went, you need to shut up, pal. The only reason I did that is because you were the lesser of two evils. And I was like, damn, they're breaking up in front of my eyes. I'm not sure I can take this. What about the kids? It really was just a means to the end though. So yeah, no buddies, no pals, no hugging, no handshaking. This is all about Crown Jewel. And when Seth Rollins does wins, he's going to prove to everybody he's the man, he's the best, and Cody, you suck. He also said a new future is going to be written at Crown Jewel. And yes, listen, a lot of the things that came out of his mouth did sound a little bit like a Hallmark greeting card. But when you have two guys who do have this kind of chemistry and they're speaking like their lives depending on it, you can so easily buy in. Now, you know my thoughts on this. It'd be so much better if it wasn't just happening because Crown Jewel determines we have to do champion versus champion. But Cody is hitting home runs, Seth is hitting home runs. And really after this, I think we do need to keep serious Seth. I just think it works better in the current environment. So bravo to both these guys, because as far as I'm concerned, that is 2 weeks now they've done this. And that video package earlier on was good too. I am giving it an up. I'm a big fan of all of it. When Rhea Ripley did find Io Sky, who was still covered in the mist, I was like, can someone please clean her off? This is ridiculous. And yes, she did reveal, wahoo, hey, at Crown Jewel, we're gonna have this tag team match. Can I trust you, Io? And she's like, yes, you can trust me. They have totally ruined my life. But to me, this was kind of done in a way that you're meant to go, maybe she can't, and she will fall in line, but of course she won't. There'll be a big build-up. She will punch Oscar right in the face. AJ Styles then got his big line in because he said he is going to beat up John Cena and everybody cheered. And that made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum when things got a little bit riggedy-raggedy because he was teaming with Dragon Lee to take on Los Americanos or whatever they're damn called. It's the other two Americanos, it's not El Grande. I think they're called Rio and Bravo, which you can figure out why you would give those names. It's just a bit weird that it's AJ Styles and John Cena in a week and he's doing stuff with a mythical creature. What are you gonna do? It was a really fun match though, and of course at one point AJ just punched Luke Kaiser right in the face because he was being a goober, so I put a 1 on the dick board. But the finish was awesome. Like AJ had one of them in the Styles Clash position. When Dragon Lee did this crazy dive, so I put a 1 on the dive counter, he took out the other two, AJ hit the Styles Clash, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Now again, it's so confusing what AJ Styles' focus is here right now. But the match was fun, and I can't wait for John Cena versus AJ Styles. This is very much a beggars can't be choosers situation. We should have built this up way better than we have done. In fact, do give that a mini down because it is ridiculous, but it doesn't matter because we're getting this match. Say on the down low, that's why I still like the John Cena heel turn. I will take a ridiculous John Cena heel turn over no heel turn at all, but I am giving it up. Just AJ Styles, man, he's the best. And that Dragon Lee, boy, howdy can he go. Jackie Redmond then asked Stephanie to care about her World Championship match with Tiffany Stratton at Crown Jewel, and Steph being a babyface was like, well, I know she's a hard champion, but I will win. When Tiffany, the SmackDown superstar, walked right in, I was like, Steph, how did you not see her? She was right there, and Tiffany said, listen, man, you've been champion for 5 minutes, I've been champion for hundreds of days, I'm going to beat you. So you know the deal here, one of them is lying. I do hope the build gets better than this because there's way more we could do here. Although at one point Tiffany did say, nobody can beat me, and I was like, well, don't let Thanos hear you. When Seth Rollins talked to Paul Heyman and said in very explicit terms, I have to, I need to, I must beat Cody Rhodes. And actually, I think that's what we probably should do. I think Seth gets more out of it. We then did get our main event, which was the Usos taking on Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. And listen, I understand that we've done a variation of this 42,797 times at the end of Raw, but given that we did have a big surprise, well, you couldn't have put it really anywhere else. And also, it was fought under Tornado Tag rules, so it was pretty damn nuts. Now, Jimmy Uso did get thrown through Alan the announce table, but thankfully came back at the right time to stop Bronson Reed doing the tsunami. He took his Phoenix down, but this didn't work at all Because soon after this, the Bronze just did hit all their finishing moves, and they basically stacked up the Usos, and they were going to give them a super death tsunami. But also, if you stack people, it's almost like you're going to beat them both at the same time. And who did that many moons ago at WrestleMania? It was Roman Reigns. And who made their big return to save their cousins? That's right, it was the Tribal Chief. And the reaction to this dude, it was laugh out loud funny. My gosh, he is so over. So we can chuckle at the fact that Roman always does take breaks, but it works. The fans loved it. He had a chair, so he made sure he murked everybody, but especially Bronson Reed, who of course put him in the local medical facility. But even when Bron Breakker snuck up behind him, he just turned around and he thumped him 1-2. Again, he had just returned to a wrestling ring, and as we know, that buffs your MP by about 10. This is when I realized that none of it was a disqualification because it was a tornado tag. So the Usos just hit all their finishes and they got the win. I was laughing out loud. I thought that's perfectly acceptable. Apparently, another man can just interject himself. Wrestling never change. I do suppose we have to put a 1 on the dick board though, because that is distraction, interference, and confusion. Well, not confusion. They made it very clear. But the absolute best bit was the end of Raw, because Jimmy Uso was like off in the background as Roman got in Jay's face, and he didn't tell him off. He said, everything you're doing right now is brilliant. It is all about you. Flub everybody else. You've got to think about you and you alone, and don't let anybody get in your head, even though he was being all Roman Reigns and getting in Jey Uso's head. Now, actually, this is long-term storytelling, because Jey Uso was always meant to be the next Tribal Chief. And while I don't want a bloodline reunion because it's way too soon, seeing Big Jim have a meltdown about this and seeing Roman being back to his old horrible self technically, but the fans still loving him, as you can see the dark side energy going into Jay, well, it's like I said earlier, it is just so flipping interesting. And it's not really turning Jey Uso heel, but it also is, and it also makes sense, and Jey Uso plays his character great. Damn right. It just made him so much more interesting, and just to repeat what I said earlier, WWE didn't wait until all of a sudden the entrance stuff dropped off. They just started doing it, and it's kind of a mystery they didn't do it before. Mostly though, I want to tune in every single week to see what is going to go down. I'm giving it an up. And to underline it, yes, it is my favourite story in WWE at the moment, when I ruin it by giving it a down. Where the flub is CM Punk and AJ Lee? Like, I don't mind them taking some time off, but somebody should mention their names, like Maxxine Dupri does, but the commentators act like they didn't even exist. I didn't need to do that, that was unnecessary, but it did prop up my brain. But to make sure we do finish on a positive Pete note, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, man. Excellent. Which brought us to the end of Monday Night Raw, and it's kind of strange. It wasn't like a, oh my gosh, best ever episode, but it was really interesting and fun to watch, which is all it ever needs to be, so I am going to give it an up. But mostly I want to know what you thought about the show. Drop me a comment below, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Otherwise, make sure you tune in throughout the week. Hopefully my voice is going to be okay. Like, I'm straining it a lot, which means you should yell at me, but I am going to drink my lemon and honey right now. I'll see you on the next one. Maybe with, like, signs. You just don't know.